Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another update. So right now, as most of you guys probably know, is that a lot of the talks when it comes to just the world about the fourth unemployment benefits has actually been relatively subtle. And the real reason why this is particularly happening is because right now at this time, I think it's very, very fair to say, is that the biggest focus in Congress has been actually really revolving around the fourth stimulus package instead of just specifically the unemployment program. However, with that being said, I would say is that of all of those politicians, as most of you guys probably know, is that the one that is probably the most outspoken, or certainly the one that has been the most vocal when it comes to doing unemployment, has probably been AOC. And the story right now is that for the last several weeks, and still ongoing to this day, AOC is currently now trying to fight to preach, not only in order to kind of just simply put it, is just to do more programs in general. She has basically come out to speak over the last few weeks now, and she is still very much speaking to this day about trying to include, or not just to include, but to essentially try to expand the stimulus package programs. Of course, one of those programs, not necessarily, it's not inside of the package now, I do want to make it very clear, but certainly at least even on a standalone side, is about the fourth unemployment situation. So why do I say all of this is because right now at this current time, many of the GOP Republicans are kind of trying to stand for why they believe what's currently in both the stimulus package and just their views about unemployment is the way, or is the views that they currently have, which is probably what you guys probably have already heard from the last couple of updates, such as about like the new unemployment numbers, the data, the statistics, trying to get people back to work. So the story right now is that in today's update is I really just want to talk about what's been going on in the world of unemployment, because AOC has now, or has been, ongoing. Keep in mind it's been going on for a while now, but is still active to this day, which is a good thing. So that's the really bright news. What's been going on really there in terms of trying to press for unemployment, and then I also really want to maybe just talk and end this maybe really about how accurate are these unemployment numbers really, because a lot of people have been saying, well, we see all of these numbers, they're getting better, but what does that actually mean? What does it reflect? Do I count as part of that number? Do they count as part of the numbers? Who are the specific people that are actually included in this number? And that is all the stuff that we're going to explore in today's update. So as always, we're going to get right to it before it hopefully gets a lot more clearer as we go on. But as always, before we begin, consider smashing the like button as always, because it is greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos like this and other kinds of finance related videos. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly just really anything. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So the story to what's been going on right now when it comes to just simply put fourth stimulus package is that a lot of the GOP Republicans, as you guys know, have been pretty much trying to fight to decrease the size of the package, but they've been using specifically why, or their argument for why it should be smaller, is because they want to help things related to like debt, basically about taxes, and about trying to basically create a smaller package because they think at this time it would be able to force people to go back to work with the unemployment. So the story right now is that AOC has been and is still ongoing to this day speaking, trying to criticize a lot of the GOP Republicans about not just their arguments, but also about what they've been basically trying to preach. For example, one of the arguments that she has brought up is about why she feels that a lot of the numbers that the GOP Republicans have, again, leaving politics, it's just because it is physically what's happening right now. It's on television, so you can hear them physically speak about it. But essentially the idea is that she's basically been criticizing them, saying that they've been using a lot of misleading numbers in order to try to support the claims that they've currently been making, including about how some of the unemployment numbers may actually be very flawed. So right now the story becomes is that if the unemployment numbers are very off, what actually is the true unemployment rate if you are trying to factor in? So the story in terms of maybe to just move on to next about what actually is included when you hear the unemployment numbers every single week is essentially this is pretty much an article that really tried to explore what exactly counts as someone that's currently on unemployment. So according to a lot of resources, and actually this is technically even on the Labor Department's website, how they physically define someone being on unemployment. And it's really that whenever you see these numbers that we share every single week, such as about like number of people qualified for unemployment or number of people that went unemployed that particular week, or the jobs report, in order to try to be categorized as someone who is unemployed, it is basically stated that you have to have been someone that is either probably the most straightforward category of people, people that are just actually physically on unemployment benefits, so of course they will be counted inside of those numbers, but also just simply put is that people that are either on unemployment or trying to get onto unemployment, or maybe struggling to get on unemployment but are at least still actively trying to look for work at this current time. The issue that's going on right now is that many people feel that these numbers are actually relatively inaccurate, because the problem is that we just recently had millions and millions of people fall off of the unemployment programs just in general last month. So the issue is that in terms of who is actually not counted in these numbers when you see are pretty much several people. The first is really that if you happen to be someone that maybe was unemployed or maybe still very much unemployed, but you either lost your unemployment benefits and you're not necessarily actively looking for work, or if they don't know that you're actively looking for work, then the sad news is, and there's a lot of truth to it, is that there's a lot of millions and millions of people that at this point are still actually actively looking for work, but because they don't actually know that they're physically actively looking for work, are actually sadly not included in the numbers that you currently see every single week when they kind of start to reveal their unemployment data. Now, there are several categories of people to why this might be the case. Examples of this could be, for example, if maybe you happen to be someone that is currently taking care of a child. So if you happen to be basically doing something related to childcare, then it is very possible that you are unemployed. Maybe feel free to comment if you know someone that's in that shoe, or maybe you feel it yourself. But the idea is that if that happens to apply to you, then they say that the sad thing is that these are one group of people that happen to be unemployed, but sadly are not actually even counted for in the actual unemployment numbers. The other groups of people are pretty much just people that maybe stopped looking for work, and this could be maybe for just actual legitimate reasons. One of them could be health. That's a very common reason. At this current time, there's a lot of people that have had to actually pause their job hunt, and part of it could very much be because of health-related reasons. Sadly, they are not always necessarily included in the numbers. The third kind of people that they say is really about a lot of people that are basically on retirement age. There's a lot of people, especially if you happen to be 65 or older, that you may be actually unemployed, but because you're kind of above a certain age range, sometimes the Labor Department will categorize these people as people that may potentially actually be retired, even though in a lot of ways, and sometimes maybe they do actually happen to be retired, but sometimes it's very possible that maybe is that even though they're retired, they still very much need more money to be able to afford and pay for a lot of the things, so they are still actively looking for work at this time. But sadly, because of what they use to define what actually means being unemployed, it means that sometimes those people are not actually counted inside of the numbers. And then there could be a whole slew of other people that are basically just unemployed right now, but for much more personal reasons, but because they don't really have a specific identified reason at this time. That's kind of why a lot of times they may not necessarily be counted as as part of the actual unemployment numbers that are counted every single week. So why does this relate to everything that we're talking about is because right now it is estimated that there are probably several millions of people inside of our country that are actually unemployed, but that are not actually part of the unemployment count. And the reason is because of all of those other reasons that we kind of just recently included. So if they were to actually be able to count these millions of people that are not currently being counted inside of the numbers, combined with the people that actually are unemployed and actually are collecting benefits and actually fit the description of unemployed, then many people believe is that the unemployment rate is actually potentially actually a lot higher than what you currently see right now. So the story is that AOC essentially is trying to use this as one of the arguments to kind of fight or challenge a lot of the ideas that the GOP Republicans have basically been saying for the last just basically ever since they ended unemployment, let's just say 1 to even maybe more than a month ago, depending on the state that you're currently in. So the idea really is that going from here is that at least we have some people that are kind of voicing for the unemployed. There are of course a lot of other individuals. We're just using her because she's been the most vocal about it. But really beyond this is that that's what I really just wanted to share in today's update. Really just kind of just sharing what's been happening with unemployment and all of the, you know, the basically the argument or what's been happening, even if it happens to be on a subtle level, because of course we do know is that you will probably be hearing a lot more news about the fourth stimulus package because that is their biggest priority at this time. But at least we do still see some people that are making some voice about it, that are challenging this idea. And then maybe also to kind of just give you guys maybe a little bit of an idea, just more for personal insight about what actually counts as unemployed and what actually does not count as unemployed, and what to basically speculate the actual true unemployment numbers really might be if you were to include all of the people, even the people that are actually unemployed but just don't fit that definition to be counted inside of the numbers. But beyond this is hopefully if you guys found that relatively insightful, consider smashing that like button. If you guys haven't done so, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, predictions, or any stories, or honestly just really anything. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.